Hello, BookTube. We're continuing with our first Q&A of September. I am having, as usual, a blast with these questions. I don't know where you people get all these great questions. You'd think after all these years of doing this, they would run dry, but they never do. They never do. And despite how many people are prefacing their question by saying, I'm sorry if this has been asked before, there's precious little duplication. And there's precious little duplication over years. So we might do another Q&A in September if it's this much fun. Anyway, let's move on. We ended with Pausanias last time. Now we're at PHXSNS1. Do you or did you ever have a music or movie collection? Vinyl, CDs, DVDs? Yes. Very much so, yes. Had a ton of vinyl classical music and opera. Ton of that. And not a very good record player. I wasn't a snob or a snooty about it, but I had a serviceable one. And I didn't like it because they were so delicate. And you had to get up all the time to change the record, and every time I don't have much sense of touch in my fingers, and I've always got dogs milling around, so I was always worried about my vinyl collection. And then CDs came along, and I was much happier about that. Much happier, because I made of metal. Yes, the little shiny part in the middle where the data is actually encrypted is delicate, but a CD, if you drop it to the floor, will not break, and will be perfectly usable. So I gradually got rid of all of the vinyl to collectors or sales or used bookshops or whatnot, and started replacing it all with CDs. And I had at one point a vast CD collection, of classical music and opera and Broadway musicals. No pop, no country western, no blues, no jazz, no nothing like that. Classical music, opera, and Broadway musicals. And I had tape cassettes as well back before, alongside vinyl. And those were good, but they took up space that could go to bookshelves. And in my mind, I was sort of inchoately hoping for some solution that would come along that wouldn't require any of this. Wouldn't require storage of any kind. Same thing with movies. I had cassettes, including blank video cassettes that I would tape things onto and then label. And then I had DVDs. And I gradually replaced the cassettes with DVDs, and I had a vast collection of those. I never went to Blu-ray or anything, because by then I realized this is all going to go digital. And so don't bother phasing out the DVDs into Blu-ray, because you're never going to use them. By then I had my EEE-PC. I had the experience of an electronic screen that would be the receptacle of a large part of my attention. All the spectrum of my attention. And I started to imagine, what if this could be all of the movies, all of the TV series and all of their seasons? What if this could be all of the music? Well, then you wouldn't need any of those things. You wouldn't need to have a gigantic stockpile of any LPs, cassettes, VHS tapes, discs, Blu-rays. You wouldn't need any of that. You just have one device that had it all. And eventually that happened. I live in that reality now. I'm not a purist when it comes to these things. I don't need any of the collectability stuff. So I don't have any of those anymore. I phased out my VHS tapes, mostly threw them away. I phased out my DVDs. I sold them secondhand for credit that I used in secondhand bookstores. I sold or got rid of all of those classical music CDs. I have none of them anymore. I have a box set of the complete works of Handel, and that's it. I don't know why I have that. I don't have any device that could play it. But I just have a laptop now. If I feel like listening to Beethoven late string quartets, they're on YouTube. Or they're downloadable as a file. If I feel like watching a movie, there's a million movies now. I'm sure you've seen them in your feed. YouTube with ads. YouTube is putting a huge amount of effort into that to just cycle movies into there. Because since the pandemic, people are looking at YouTube. They're not going to movie theaters. I've watched so many movies like that where you just have to put up with ads like you do on YouTube videos. And there's also YouTube, which has taken over the bulk of my video watching. And I also read books electronically. So no, those secondary collections have just gone. I still have a ton of print books, but I don't have any of the rest of it. Don't have a movie collection. Don't have a music collection. Not at all. Not at all. Let's see here. Joel Swagman says, several Q&As ago, you were asked your opinion about the historical Jesus. Yes, and I heard no end of historical commentary from people in my email. I leave my email on every video, and in the discussion, I said I don't think there is much good evidence that there was ever a historical Jesus, and I heard no end of wailing about that. That, to put it mildly, not to mock anything, but that should not be where your faith is. Okay, but anyway, I'd like to belatedly follow that up by asking your opinion about the historical King David. He never existed. He's an obviously fictional character. He's an obviously mythological character. Also, what did you think of Robin Lane Fox's argument in the unauthorized version that the so-called court history of King David is an eyewitness account? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Ridiculous. I don't know what Robin Lane Fox wanted to be true when he wanted that to be true, but some of his arguments go out on a limb, and that one, there's no wood underneath it at all. It's nonsense. He's an obviously mythical character. Might as well talk about the court of King Theseus. Anyway, CMS Spiff says, what do you think is the best novel set in or at a carnival, and the best nonfiction book about carnivals and circuses? I don't know of any good nonfiction books, but there was a novel by the author Gary Jennings who did Aztec and Journeyer. Journeyer is a novel about Marco Polo that I cannot recommend strongly enough. I love that book. You will love it too. It has amazing sequences in it. From right at the beginning, when under the effect of hallucinogenics, a young Marco Polo, experiences the pain of childbirth. It is marvelously described. Marvelous. I don't know how many women Gary Jennings had to interview to get that description down. But that happens at the beginning. And then all the way at the end, you get a massive battle scene with the Mongols in warfare. Just an incredible book. But he also did a book for which he's not known, a relatively contemporary novel called Sparkle, about a carnival troupe, a circus troupe. That it's a novel, but it's really, really good, and it's based on a lot of research, as all of his books are. So I don't have any nonfiction, but I highly recommend Sparkle if you can find a copy. Andrew Russell says, what do you think of Jonathan Saffron Foer's writings? I really like the way he writes. I think he's insufferable. The posturing that he does, the grand old man of letters that he was doing, even when he's 5 feet tall, and those people always overcompensate, or so many of them do. But he was doing that right out of the gate, with everything is illuminated, and he's just kept doing it. And I don't like it. I don't like that kind of posturing. I can't stand it when he does it. I don't like it when Jonathan Franzen is the most pronounced example. I don't like it when what's his name, Karl Ove Knausgaard does that a lot. A lot of literary figures do that, especially young ones, and I hate it. I just hate it. It's that kind of affect just drives me nuts. And he's big into that. Justin Cronin's another one that does that all the time. And I wish that he would just not. I wish that wouldn't happen. But nevertheless, I separate that from his writing, and his writing's, I think, terrific. Let's see here. Mr. Putler Gollum asks, what was your favorite painting in the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum that was stolen? He, for those of you who don't know, is referring here to one of the most famous art thefts in the world, which took place right here in Boston in 1990, where a group of thieves dressed as policemen parked outside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, a beautiful museum at Fenway Court, right across the street from the Museum of Fine Arts, until the museum was closed. They bluffed their way in. They duct taped the few people who were guarding the museum at the time, and had free run of the place for the whole of the night. And they stole a lot of stuff, cut paintings out of their gigantic metal frames that are gone to this day. The Gardner Art Museum has never been solved, and it never will be solved. And the most famous painting that was stolen is also my favorite painting. I saw it many times at the Gardner with my own eyes, and it pains me to think that no one will ever look at that painting with their own eyes again. But you can still see reproductions of it, so it's not completely lost, like a lot of the paintings mentioned in Vasari, where we're sure that he isn't wrong if he's talking to the painter himself, but the painting is long gone to history. And that would be Storm on a Sea of Galilee, in which you have the painter inserted himself into the painting. He's a character in the painting. It's the famous story from the Gospel. And the storm on the Sea of Galilee, the painting has a light side and a stormy side that is right down the middle, and the line runs right through the face that the artist inserted into himself in the painting. And it's brilliant. It's an amazing thing. I hate to say this, it sounds like I'm rubbing salt in the wound to all of you, but it's an amazing thing to look at with your own eyes. I'm sorry that you don't get to do that anymore, but that would be my favorite, Storm on a Sea of Galilee. And then the miracle of the 21st century is that you can type that into Google and see it. You can see a picture of it. You can see what I'm talking about. I'm sure there are very detailed pointillist examinations of different parts of that canvas. So it's not as gone as it could be. And that frame up at the top of the Gardner, up at the top of Fenway Court, that frame is still empty. So you get, there's a certain progression that you do to ascend the Gardner. And when you get to the top, you get to an empty frame. Kind of heartbreaking. Let's see here. Our Mac22 says, can we get a Western Canon Starter Kit 2.0, please? Yes, I do mean to do that. It won't be 2.0 because 2.0 in the parlance of the 21st century means you're improving the original. And it wouldn't be that this is a better Western Canon Starter Kit. Instead, it would be sophomore year. I would just not call it a Starter Kit anymore. It would be further readings once you've done the Western Canon Starter Kit. And I do mean to do that. I just haven't got around to it yet. Nick Piccarilli says, what were your encounters with Anthony Bourdain like? Mostly enjoyable. What do you think of his shows as someone who has traveled a lot? His shows are really good. If you don't know, if you think, I don't want to watch the shows of a celebrity chef, what good would they be? Give it a try. They are a different animal. You will really like them. James Holder says, how are your non-review writing projects going? They're okay. I'm mostly just writing reviews and helping with helping to flesh out 2 works on which my name will not appear. But I am gearing up for NaNoWriMo this month. Coming off an abject failure of Camp NaNoWriMo, but NaNoWriMo, the main event, is in November. I plan on doing it, and I plan on having a blast. I am going to succeed. I'm going to get 50,000 words. The Elizabeth says, what are your thoughts on The Hollow Crown? I like it. The book and the show. I like them both. Anthony Ruggier says, has a barrage of questions. Number 1, is Stanley Ailing any good? Yes. Number 2, will the Republican candidate win in 2024? The simple answer is yes. Number 3, will the Republicans take back Congress in the midterms? Yes. Number 4, have you seen the new 2-volume edition of the River War from St. Augustine's Press by Churchill, and would it be worth reading? Well, I've read the River War, and it is worth reading. I didn't know about this edition. Now I want it. But it is worth reading, yeah. And number 5, is abortion going to be outlawed by the Supreme Court anytime soon? Yes. Yes, it is. I'm giving the simple one-word answer to all of these questions, but I don't mean to harsh the buzz of our Q&A, but I want to remake a warning that I made a year ago on this channel. I don't have to stress it. I won't dwell on it at all, but I want to stress, if you are an American or visiting America, this is a Nazi majority country, but it is not Nazi ruled. And that tension is driving people crazy. The wrong people crazy. It's driving 150 million people crazy. That tension between the fact that they know what country this is, but they're not in charge. They can't make you salute Donald Trump or a Trump child. They can't make you hate your Muslim neighbor or whatever. They can't make you do that. They want to be able to do that. And they are the majority. So I made, a lot of you disliked hearing that last year, and I made a warning last year that a lot of you disliked, but I feel, since the subject has come up, and since I'm giving one-word answers, I feel behooved to strongly say again, if you are an American or living in America and you have the means to emigrate, you should do so immediately. Set the ball in motion and emigrate to a free country immediately. I know that it's the ultimate internet cliche to draw comparisons with 1930s Germany. I want to remind you that the comfortable people, the free people in 1930s Germany didn't think it would happen. And when it did happen, it happened fast. And suddenly there was a very strong likelihood that they couldn't get out. I just want to raise the subject, that's all, and say, if you can leave this country, you should leave this country. If you can leave for a free country, you should do so as soon as possible. You should emigrate as soon as possible. What's coming is no great mystery. You don't need a crystal ball, you just need a history book. What's coming is no great mystery. And if you have a history book, you know it never doesn't come. What's coming never fails to come. And when it happens fast. And the only redress that comes down the line is physical conquest from the outside. All I'm saying is you don't want to be caught up in that, and you especially don't want to be raising a family in that. So as an addendum to these questions about 2022 and 2024, I will repeat, you should leave this country if you can. So anyway, let's just go on to cheerier subject. So DLERE asks again, greetings from India. Oh, you can't just say India. You have to tell me where in India. I lived in India. I visited every inch of India. I want to know where you live. Probably I had a wonderful evening there. Anyway, number one, you've made no secret of your dislike for the field of philosophy. I do know that you make some exceptions, though, like David Hume, for instance. Are there any other such exceptions you make, especially the Enlightenment and post-Enlightenment thinkers? Well, here I pay the same dirty pool that any other windbag pulls. If I like the person, I just say they're not a philosopher. So David Hume, Adam Smith, John Stuart Mill, they're not really philosophers. Nothing to see here. Intolerable. And then number two, I'm quite sure you're not a fan of the Beat Generation either. Absolutely true. Oh my God. That is a whole 1 hour video with veins sticking out of my neck. Especially the big three. Do you make any exceptions in this literary movement? The one that I tend to make, Richard Farina wrote a book called Been Down So Long Looks Like Up to Me. It's not poetry, thank God. It's kind of sort of good. I've always tended to like it. Been down so long, it looks like up to me. But it's a thin thing to hang a whole era on. So not much, no. And number three, are there any literary awards for fiction today that are worth paying attention to? I say no. Now, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm putting my chips on the table and all the other cliches that you want to use. I am saying that every major literary award from now until the end of the year, and I say for the rest of our lives, will be entirely determined by political reasons and not literary reasons. And that it will be easy to tell that I'm right because the awards, the shortlist, and the eventual winners will be easily predictable by using the progressive stack. In other words, not political, not literary. There'll be no literary element involved. I'll be able to stand at the long list, judge the long list according to the progressive stack, and determine both the short list and the winner solely based on where the person is on the progressive stack. I am saying that every major literary award for the rest of the year is going to be predictable in that way. If that is true, if I'm right about that, then that means every literary award is no longer about literature at all. Self-evidently, they aren't about literature anymore if they are awarding their awards based on Twitter politics from 12 psychos in 2021. If that is true, then self-evidently they are worthless as literary awards. So I'm going to say no, there are none that are worth paying attention to except for sociological reasons, as a sort of a gauge of the time. As a gauge of the time, sure, all the upcoming literary awards in the awards season will be interesting to watch. But my prediction, and if I'm wrong, you'll easily be able to see. You'll easily be able to know. You just have to use the progressive stack to know if I'm wrong. My prediction is that the short list, and especially the winners, will be entirely determined by that. So we'll see. I will be the first to admit if I'm wrong. Suze R says, who is the worst character in Star Trek The Next Generation? Well, thanks to Book Trek 2021, I am studying The Next Generation in September. I get a little sidetracked with other things, and also my first video on Star Trek The Next Generation brought out 1 million TNG lawyers battering me with emails, 1,000-word emails full of Next Generation trivia. When I don't need to know trivia to know whether or not an episode or a book works as drama. I don't need to know anything about that to know that. It's endearing that people are wanting to defend their favorite Star Trek with trivia instead of with dramatic points, but nevertheless, I am still studying The Next Generation. For instance, I watched Star Trek Insurrection for the first time since it came out in theaters. What a movie! And not just exciting, but what a cast! What a crew! If that crew had been present in the first 2 seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation, I'd be its foremost fan. And that is how I know that the show evolved, the crew evolved, and that's a big point that a lot of you are making about Star Trek The Next Generation, is that you can't judge it by its first few seasons. It evolved. Okay, I'm okay with that, and I'm learning a lot. But even so, looking at the show as a whole, I think the worst character, not in terms of dislikable, but in terms of how little they're developed, how little there is Dr. Beverly Crusher. I really do think there's not much there with Beverly Crusher. They've got a very attractive woman to play the role, but that doesn't get you very far. I've never got the sense that writers had any idea what to do with her. And I still haven't. That has not been fixed. I don't know a way in to Beverly Crusher, to so to speak, to fix that. So I'm going to say Beverly Crusher for this. Then Vera Pavlova says, Did you get Immune by Philip Detmer? How was it? I did get it. I did read it. It was wonderful. Strongly recommend it. It's all about the human immune system. So you have a dog in the race if you buy this book. It's not a case where you're wondering about something else. You have an immune system, and trust me, until you've read this book or watched some of Kyrgyzstan's videos on this, you have no idea how complex your immune system is, and it's fascinating. Let's see here. Trish Boville says, why hasn't Actress by Anne Enright gotten more widespread attention? How much more attention do you want it to get? So the best book critics in the world praised it all in unison at the same time when it came out. And who should play Catherine O'Dell in the movie adaptation? Well, here, I have made no secret of the fact on this channel that I very much want the obvious future of digital stars. I very much want that. I want digital stars as opposed to... If I want a new original cast Star Trek movie, I should be able to get that. The technology exists to give me that. With the original cast, in a new movie, just digitally done. I believe the technology exists to do that with anybody at any time if there's enough video footage and audio footage to make a template. So the person I want to play Catherine O'Dell would be Maureen O'Hara from The Quiet Man. Absolutely, it would be her. In flashbacks in her 30s and then in the novel in her late 50s. She was great. The technology exists to give me her in that role, so that's what I want. Rainbow Sky Gay and Proud says, first question, what do you like about Mark Kendrick? I like a lot about Mark Kendrick. I like his writing style. I like a lot of the way he thinks. Second question, what do you like about Louis Bayard? Well, these aren't going to help any, right? I would either talk for 3 hours about what I like about them, or I can't really talk usefully about it at all. I like a lot about them. If you're listing authors here, I'm going to like their use of language, their wit, their subject matter. Is that what you're doing? Third question, what do you like about Michael Harvey? Yes, okay. And last question, what do you like about John Addington Simons, and what did you think about his biography of Boccaccio? I really like Simons' biography of Boccaccio. I got it at the Brattle just the other day. I really liked it. It's nothing deep or anything. It's more a meditation than a biography, but I really liked it. Hannah's Books. I was just recently in Boston. Says, do you plan to participate in Victober this year? Any thoughts on what you might read? I will certainly participate in Victober. No idea what I will read. Probably Middlemarch. Tomorrow's Classic says, what are your thoughts on the new date Trump's fans have chosen to once again storm the U.S. Capitol? They've chosen my birthday, September 18th. I look through parted fingers from across the pond. It boggles my mind. I have ranted about this quite a bit. The one thing I don't understand, I've said history goes down this path in only one way. It doesn't stop going down this path. It doesn't change direction, and nothing can change its direction. The one thing I don't understand is that this is happening while the party in power knows about the historical precedents. The party in power that could do something about this isn't doing anything about it. It's a weird kind of deer-in-the-headlights fatalism that I do not understand, and future generations will not understand it. That will be the biggest question mark of this period. Why is the party in power allowing all of this stuff to happen, knowing what's coming next, knowing what the future is? Why are they letting it happen? Why is this September 18th insurrection being allowed to happen? Everyone knows what's going to happen on September 18th. The party in power knows it, and not only that, but Homeland Security and the FBI know the people involved in making it happen. They're watching in real time the emails and text messages. They know already what violence is being planned, on what scale, in what areas, by which people. Are those people being detained? No, they aren't being detained. Are they being arrested? No, they aren't being arrested. You can't arrest somebody for planning a crime. Sure you can. Sure you can. We have people in Guantanamo Bay who've been there for 20 years on less pretext than that. To save the country? You certainly can do that, and it's not happening. The intelligence agencies in America know what's going to happen. They know when it's going to happen. They know where it's going to happen, and they know who's going to do it, and they won't stop it. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand any of this at all. Intelligence agencies in America, 4 intelligence agencies at least, especially the FBI, know the names of the congresspeople who intentionally coordinated the night before with the insurrectionists that on January 6th tried to overthrow the government of my country. It wasn't just a mob of people who were whipped up by the president. There were congresspeople who coordinated with those people ahead of time. Floor plans, office plans. FBI has their specific records. Are they arrested? No, they're not arrested. They are clear and present dangers to the country, and they're walking around free, inciting more violence. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they haven't been arrested. And also, the Department of Defense, I also don't understand why there are 4 black bag operation departments of the Department of Defense that aren't on the budget. The Congress never sees their funding. Any one of those departments could simply kill these people, and they haven't done it. And they haven't done it. These people who are advocating the violent overthrow of the government. I'm not talking about killing somebody that you just don't like who lives down your block. I'm talking about killing an enemy agent on American soil. I don't get any of it. That is the question that future historians are going to ask more than anything else. Why didn't the party in power do anything to stop this? Why didn't they do anything at all? Well, anyway, Trip says, what are your thoughts on Afghanistan? Well, you people are trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? Or get me to stem wine boringly. I am ideologically in favor of America getting out of endless wars. I'm ideologically in favor of that. There are a lot of complications involved here. I think a lot of complications that mainstream press are beating the drum about come about because the forces in Afghanistan told us for 20 years that they wanted a free democratic country and were willing to fight for it. Didn't fight for it when the chips were down. This line about how America has suffered a catastrophic defeat in Afghanistan, I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. This was always a left-handed exercise for the Pentagon. It was always that. Right up from the beginning, right up to the end, it was an absolutely clueless, couldn't find your arse with a flashlight operation. If you drew up a battle plan to conquer Afghanistan, you would need full air support and the 82nd Airborne alone. And about a week, you would do it. It's not that America was handed a catastrophic, grueling 20-year defeat for conquering a country that a bunch of guys in Jeeps with vests on and America-bought guns could do in a week. I don't know how to make sense of what I'm seeing from the mainstream media about Afghanistan, but I am glad that there will be fewer American troops there. I don't think America has any business nation building. Let's see here. Chad M says, Beatles or Rolling Stones? Do I have to pick these two? I can't pick Led Zeppelin or the Beach Boys. I have to pick these two. Hen Ogled says, let's start an argument. Oh, God, you're trying to get me in trouble. Don't try to get me in trouble. How are you going to do this? Oh, my God, no. What are your thoughts on abortion? Do you have any particular feelings on welfare? Are you more socially conservative or socially liberal? Fight, fight, fight. Nice try. Nice try. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen on any of those subjects. Not gonna happen. Nice try. Let's get back to books. Can we get back to books? Oh, right. Actually, let's end with fight, 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 and we'll move on to the next one.